Here we are again. Now, I promised this video would come out shortly after E3, and to be totally honest, I apologize for my tardiness. As we all know, life gets in the way. But why don't we take a little spin through what some have considered the worst E3 of all time? To kick things off, we're gonna look at our boy Jeff. Jeff broke up with E3 not too long ago.
Don't be angry with me.
I am angry with you, and I have a good reason to be angry with you!
Last year, he did his own thing, the Summer Games Fest, which lasted for about 6 months and tortured us all with constant streams of pointless updates on things no one really cared about. So how is he changing it this year? Well, he started off with a show that had a constant stream of pointless updates with things nobody really cared about, until the very end. It was finally revealed.
Brandish the Elden Ring. For all of us.
Now, on to Ubisoft, the next big show. Ubisoft actually brought a decent amount of stuff to E3, but it wasn't really anything to write home about. Rainbow Six Quarantine wasn't very interesting. They did reveal a new Avatar game, which we all know is a very prominent IP these days, but I think they missed the art style a little bit. As you can see, it's a very interesting looking Avatar game. Gearbox showed up with nothing. Capcom showed up with nothing. Take-Two, oh Take-Two, baby. Take-Two came in with the big guns.
Here's a clip!
We need to do a better job as a society and
Getting all of that stuff out of the way is kind of important, because really there's only a couple of shows during this E3 that provided anything of substance. Square Enix was right here in the middle. They had Guardians of the Galaxy, which looked pretty good if I'm going to be honest, a single-player Marvel story, almost exactly what people wanted after the disaster that was the Avengers. And Final Fantasy fans, well, they got you covered, as long as you play on mobile or PC. And then they showed a thing everyone was waiting for. A Dark Souls-type Final Fantasy game by the creators of Neo. What could go wrong? And I know you've heard a lot about
Chaos.
I'm going to show you a little bit different. A way this could all be fixed.
Looks like
Shrek.
has been waiting for us. Kill.
Shrek.
Sure.
Shrek.
Here is the shrine.
Shrek. Shrek.
Kill.
Shrek.
I become.
Shrek.
Let's move on. Let's get to the two big boys, the only ones who kind of justified being here, to be honest. And we'll start with Xbox and Bethesda. Microsoft had a lot riding on this E3, as apparently they do every year. They finally had a chance to prove that they indeed did have video games. And what did they bring? They opened up with a CGI trailer of Starfield, which in fact was not a CGI trailer, so if you call it that, you're kind of complimenting the creation engine, which I'm personally not comfortable with.
Who's laughing now?
And then they revealed Stalker 2, which actually looks kind of promising. Eurojank aside, I'm sure this might be a pretty good game if you're into those Metro-style games. Replace looks phenomenal, Somerville looks interesting. There was quite a few games here to wet your whistle. Xbox also had the biggest reveal of them all.
Captain Jack Sparrow. But I suspect you already knew that.
A world without the eternal abyss is a world that refuses to face the truth. Nothing lasts forever. Destroy them!
That's it, Xbox One E3. If you're a fan of vehicle-based games, they showed off Flight Sim for the Series X, which looked good, I guess, if you like that thing. But they also had Forza Horizon 5. Probably the most realistic looking racer to date. But I do have to ask, it's a racer. If I can't get out of my car, what am I doing in this open world anyway? It does serve as the best advertisement yet for Fable, whenever that game comes out. Now, there was the one game I've been waiting for which was revealed. Halo Infinite finally showed up again. Joe Staten was on the stage to make all the fanboys cry tears of joy. Now, I have a video on this already which you can watch, but I thought it looked pretty promising, not going to lie. Although I'm still doubtful on whether this will be a full game at launch or if they're going to piecemeal us like Halo 5 did. Xbox also brought another Bethesda game, Redfall. Once again, showing nothing but a CGI trailer, I find it hard to even care. But they did clarify something. They said that Starfield and Redfall will be Xbox exclusive. Which begs the question, will Starfield show up on the PS5? There can be no way of knowing. Well, that was most of the highlights of Bethesda's show with Microsoft. There was a lot of other things they had, but I'm just going to stick with what they showed there. Now on to the one we were all waiting for.
We're waiting.
Everyone said Nintendo had to save E3, and well, Nintendo did show up. Now, Nintendo has this thing where lately, if you're a weeb, they win every conference they ever show up at. Now, personally, as a non-weeb, their show wasn't the biggest deal to me. Breath of the Wild 2 is looking good, but they really didn't give us much information, and that game seems like it might be 2 years away. WarioWare looks fun for people who are into those type of games, although I honestly think it kind of looks like a mobile game. Metroid was the big reveal of the show. Looks pretty dang good, not gonna lie, I was a big fan of Metroidvanias, but I will say that Advance Wars remakes look like a Fisher-Price game made for children, and honestly, they should be embarrassed. Nintendo showed up with a very solid show to wrap up E3, and after the hilarious atrocities that were Capcom, Take-Two, and Gearbox, it honestly made Xbox and Nintendo feel like they actually gave a damn. So that was E3 2021. A lot of people didn't really think that this show should have existed this year, and I'm gonna be real with you all here. E3 is a time when everyone has a chance to celebrate gaming in general. It's a time when the whole world stops and looks at the gaming industry and all of these things we all care about. So while this wasn't the best E3, mostly due to COVID and also this weird online format, not having it in person, I'm still happy it happened. And I wouldn't trade it for 6 drawn-out months of random tweets for shows that most people aren't going to watch. E3 is a time where we can all come together and celebrate this hobby we all share and love. But anyway, Sony wasn't there, so the whole thing was a waste of time in the first place.